Hey guys, this is Tom Stewart, and welcome to my YouTube channel, Tom Stewart Drums, where I will occasionally do reviews and post videos and live stuff and opinions and all kinds of whatever I feel like basically doing. Once in a while, I'll throw some stuff up here. Album reviews, concert reviews, footage that I've shot at concerts that I've been to, footage of some of my bands, basically whatever interests me. Hopefully it'll interest you. So thanks for watching, and if you get a chance, hit the subscribe button below. And also check out some of the bands that I'm in currently, which include The Land of Oz, Ozzy tribute band, and Beyond Abbey Road, which is a tribute to the Beatles solo material after the Beatles had split up. And also Separate Ways, the band, which is a Journey tribute band. And I also fill in with some friends of mine locally, Musician Impossible, and the ELO tribute show. And also every Friday I'm with the Out of Cash band, which is a happy hour band that plays in Delco at Tom and Jerry's every Friday, classic rock and 80s and 60s and 70s and all kinds of great stuff. So if you get a chance, go to Facebook and check out all those pages and like them and follow us. And today what I did was put together a video of me. I watch these dead mall videos occasionally on YouTube, and they're very interesting. Abandoned buildings and, insane asylums and places that have very creepy, sort of weird buildings that have a history behind them and stuff. So a lot of times I'm up late at night watching them on YouTube, and it's very intriguing. So I'm not interested in starting any kind of series like that, but about a month and a half ago, I was going to what used to be the Echelon Mall, and it is now called the Voorhees Town Center. Now, this mall used to be really jumping in the 70s and in the 80s, up until probably the mid-90s. Right when the internet started happening, it died off. But I went there to Boscov's just to look for some shirts or whatever, and while I was there, I had my cell phone on me, and I'm walking around the mall, and there's literally nothing open in this mall anymore, and it just kind of hit me. I should really just whip out my phone and start filming this, because I don't know how much longer this place will be around if they end up knocking it down. There's a lot of history here. There's a lot of local people in this area that probably spent a lot of their childhood in this mall. And there's also a lot of interest on YouTube with these dead mall series things that other people really do so well. And so I figured, you know what, let me walk around and film and kind of tell my little story about experiences I had in this mall, what used to be here. And I looked up some pictures from the vintage years of the mall and threw them in here too. And I just want to credit at the end everybody that I got pictures from them. There was pictures all over the internet, all over Google, everywhere. There's actually a Facebook Echelon Mall dedication page or whatever. So if you get a chance, go check that out. But I'll put some links on the bottom for any of the sources that I use for some of these photos. I was disappointed, though, when I did a lot of research looking for vintage photos from this mall, and even some other ones in this area like Deptford and Cherry Hill. There really isn't a whole lot available online. It's like there's no historical archive or anything of pictures of the insides of these malls, and that's kind of depressing, because it's one of those things where if there's probably a lot of people around that have pictures, maybe the people that worked there and stuff in their own personal collections, but it's sitting in a photo album or in a drawer somewhere in somebody's house, and nobody's ever really going to see them. And the only way to really capture and relive the history of this sort of stuff is to actually have visual representation of it. And it's really hard to find. There's almost nothing online. It's very, very difficult to find anything. And I was kind of disappointed. I couldn't find any pictures of the original section where the arcade was and where the movie theater was, and there was a pet store, and there's just nothing. There was one grainy black and white picture of the snack bar at the movie theater. That was it, nothing else. And I hope you enjoyed it. It was kind of fun and weird to kind of like look around and go back and revisit some of the times that I had at this mall, and hopefully you'll enjoy watching it as much as I did making it. Okay, so here we have the original signs that were out on the corner of Burnt Mill and Somerdale Road back in the 70s, and I think they lasted until probably the early 90s before they finally tore them down. And that one right there was on the corner, and then this other one was the one that was on Somerdale Road, and I think there used to be a movie sign there at some point too for the theaters. And then we're driving around outside Boscov's, and you can see that the parking lot is pretty dead. There's probably not been very many cars here for a very, very long time. Makes you wonder how this place manages to stay in business with the amount of people that are just not coming here. Boscov's must be making some kind of money, or their rent is really cheap here. Maybe they're getting some incentives to not close, because there's really no other reason for people to come to this mall at this point except for the corner stores. So Boscov's used to be Lit Brothers from 1970 to 77, and then it was Gimbals after that. You'll see a picture here. That's what it looked like when it was Lit Brothers, and then it was Gimbals from 77 to 86, and then it was Stearns after that, and now it's Boscov's. So we're driving around to the other side where there was a concourse area where there used to be the original arcade and the movie theater, the cinemas, and there was a pet store. And what I remember about the arcade was it had a really cool pinball room with about 20 pinball machines, maybe 30. It was all painted black. There was like road lines painted on the floor. It was really cool. I just remember standing outside there like around 77, and some like burnout dude coming out of the movie theater. He just saw The Omen. And he was like, dude, did you see The Omen? And I'm thinking to myself now, if my 52-year-old brain was in my 7-year-old body, I would have been like, dude, I'm 7 years old. There you just saw the refreshment stand that was in the old movie theater. And there is the library, which is still there, Camden County Library. That was built sometime in the 70s, I guess it was. And over here was where the Echelon Tavern used to be. There was a sign outside for it. There was a York Steakhouse there. This is before they built the food court. And then I think there was a Sears over in this area from like 98 to 2001. They demolished that in 2007. And straight ahead around the corner here is the new town center, which they built after they demolished the newer half of the mall, where there used to be the JCPenney, and they built that new wing, I think, in 79. There's the grand opening. There's the record museum, which I bought a lot of tickets at and a lot of my albums. And there was a Piercing Pagoda, Suncoast Video, and some other things in that wing, and that's right before it got demolished in 2007. And there was a JCPenney there from 76 to 2003, and there you see the demolition. And when they tore all that down, it ended up being right what you see right here, which is apartments and restaurants, which is the town center. And so we're driving around that corner to where Strawbridge's is or was, and that was from 70 to 2006. And then they turned it into a Macy's. From 2006 to like 2017, and then it was vacant when Macy's pulled out of there finally, because nobody's making any money at this mall anymore. And there's a shot from the outside showing you what it looked like before they tore off the logo. Another empty parking lot, of course. And then we're coming around to the other entrance, which was the other main entrance to the mall, which is leads to the upstairs. Oh, there's the town center sign, and there's the original sign that used to be there before that, and that's on Summerdale Road. So again, this used to be Strawbridge's, and then it ended up being Macy's, and there was a restaurant upstairs that we used to go to when I was a kid. My mom would take me to, which was pretty cool. You'll see the escalators to that later on when I go inside. And then we're spinning around here to the entrance that leads to the upstairs part. And you're going to see a picture that I found that was what the original entrance looked like before they redid it. Yeah, it's coming. There it is. And that's, it used to have the Echelon Mall logo, the original one. And when you walked in through those doors, it took you up to upstairs, and you can look down over the food court. Before the food court was there was just the concourse area, which led to the outside area where the pet store and the original arcade was. And here's the empty parking lot again, sign of the times of what's going on with this mall.
and it's really surprising that it's actually still open. So now we're inside, and there is the Boscovs, which there used to be Gimbals, and it was Lit Brothers before that. And there's an old picture from when it was Gimbals in the 70s and into the 80s. And there's the concourse down below Boscovs. You can see all the empty stores. This is where the second arcade was when they closed the original one. And I remember being in a Donkey Kong contest there, trying to, I don't forget what you won. I don't know if it was a money prize, I forget. But we're walking along here, and you can see all of the stores that are no longer here. I mean, this mall was jumping in the 70s and the 80s and into the early 90s, and it seems like it hit a wall when they decided to start demolishing half of it, and then the internet happened, and everybody could buy things online instead, and it just really cut into the business of what was once a really thriving mall. So we're walking along here, and you can see again downstairs, that's where the original Spencer's used to be, and I forget what else was down there. Yeah, that's kind of depressing to be walking around here and just looking at everything that really, it's like a ghost town. There's just absolutely nothing going on here at all. And that's actually an arcade that they just put in there that was closed. Something new starts here? Well, apparently not. The only thing new going up here is more new boards boarding up all the doors and the entrances, it seems like. And it's kind of sad. You read this, it's going to be great for you and the entire community. Watch us as we grow. It's going to be a shopping destination, gathering place, blah, blah, blah. And it just did not happen. I mean, it's so much money and effort that was sunk into this thing, and it just did not happen. So again, we're looking down at the lower level, and again, there's really nothing going on here. Totally dead. There's not one thing that's open. And then we're coming up to, this used to be Leo Books and a shop called East. And Leo Books was there in the late 70s, in the early 80s. There you go. It was right there. And shop called East was next to it, and that's where I would get all my rock posters and t-shirts and all kinds of cool stuff. Every Kiss poster ad hanging on my wall was pretty much bought there, or Deptford Mall. One memory that sticks out about being at Leo Books when I was a kid was being there like in 1979 and looking through the magazines. And I used to get like Grooves magazine, the Kiss specials, and all this, would just buy magazines there a lot. And I was there in 79 looking through stuff, and this kid next to me was talking to his friend about just getting the new Kiss record down at Sam Goody's. And I'm like, I just flipped out, threw my magazines down, ran downstairs, and there it was, this big, gigantic wall display of the new Kiss record, which at the time in 79 was Dynasty. So, obviously I was, that's a good, really vivid memory of mine. Just being in this mall and at this bookstore, and that's why it's kind of sad looking at this stuff, because there's just a lot of things that stick with you from your childhood that you remember, and that's definitely one that stands out for me in that particular spot. So this is the food court that they ended up putting in when they demolished the outside where the old arcade was, and the pet store and the cinema. You can see there's nothing open there. There's the two original escalators. You can see that they used to be separated a little bit, and then they squeezed them together and moved them. But they're still there. And yeah, there's literally nothing open in that food court. And again, that used to be really jumping. I mean, there was like a Scotto's Pizza, there was a deli, there was an Orange Julius. There was, what else was down there? I forget, it was like a Chipotle sort of thing, Chick-fil-A, and it's all just gone. And again, dead stores. Sound like a broken record, but it's just one dead spot after another here. And we're looking down over the railing at the original escalators again, and coming up pretty soon, you'll see an original picture from back in the 70s and 80s, what it looked like when you looked downstairs. When the original concourse was there used to be glass doors off to the left there that went out to where the pet store and the arcade was and the cinemas. And then they knocked that down and built this food court. So now we're going to continue walking along here and upstairs here. I don't know what used to be up here. I forget. It's been a while. There's just not much going on. Apparently they tried to put some community center stuff in here. It looks like there's a Bayada Nurses. I hear that's the game plan, is to eventually, yeah, there's the Voorhees Township store. It's a lot of township and office space. That's kind of what's happening here now. And I've seen it from other Dead Mall videos that's kind of the same thing, that they're really don't have any other options because stores just can't make any money here. So they really have to just rent out these locations to either the township or to businesses that just need office space. And I guess the rent here is probably ridiculously cheap at this point because they can't get any tenants. Obviously, there's nothing going on here. So we're coming up to what used to be Strawbridge and Clothier. There you go. That's what it looked like back in the day in the 70s and 80s. And that's what it looks like today. And I'm walking up to the original seal, the seal of confidence. Not much confidence in the business anymore, apparently. There's my reflection looking in the window, and you can see what the inside looks like now, which is all just empty shelving. And there's the original flooring that I remember as a kid. It's been there forever with the black squares. I probably had to used to run around and jump on every black square as a kid because that was my thing, you know, stepping on stuff. So we've got, let's see, what else do we have coming up here? You can see in the distance there's the escalators that led up to the original restaurant. And that's where my mom used to take me sometimes as a kid. We would go upstairs to that third floor to eat. And that was pretty cool. And there's some old jewelry cases, and now we're looking down at what used to be another concourse area where there were fountains, and I have some pictures, you'll see of that later in the video. But we're gonna walk down these steps down to the new area, and this is all new. This was built when they knocked down the section that led to the JCPenney, which was built in '79, and then they knocked it down in 2007. So this was all built as an end cap, apparently, to lead out to Town Center, which is where all the restaurants are. There's a T-Mobile that's still open, one of the few things still open in this mall. And now we're at the lower level of Strawbridge and Clothier, and you see me walking up to the window there to catch a look at what is inside or what isn't inside anymore. And apparently there's really nothing. It's just empty space, totally wasted. Used to be filled with all kinds of clothes and jewelry and whatever, and it's all gone as they shut this down. So you're going to see in a minute as I turn around here where the original concourse area was, where there used to be fountains, and there was an electronics store in that area. I used to go in and look at the giant screen TVs like in the 80s. There it is. That's what it looked like back in the day, in the 70s and into the 80s. And that was what the original Strawbridges looked like down there in the concourse area where I'm walking now. And that's all gone. And now we're coming down the hallway, which leads back to the food courts and games and things that are still here on the left-hand side for kids that are not here. So I don't think anybody's making much money off of them things anymore. And we got some kiosks. This used to be, coming up on the left, used to be Echelon Tavern, and which we used to go to eat sometimes with my mom when I was a kid. We would go there. And there was a Games and Gadgets on this side too. So yeah, the Echelon Tavern was like right around here. And then there was a Games and Gadgets right along here too, further down, which I got all my ColecoVision and Atari games at back in the day. And there's Mrs. Field's Cookies, that's what it used to look like there when it was in business. Now gone. There was a Walden Books right here, and a Sam Goody, and a KB Toys. Got tons of albums at Sam Goody. All my major, my Kiss albums, my Dream Police by Cheap Trick when I was like 9. All kinds of memories just in this mall from back in the day. A lot of important things in my childhood happened at this place. And it's really kind of sad to see the state of affairs that it's in now with really just nothing going on here. There used to be a health food store that was on the right here. It's out of the picture, you can't see it, but I remember my dad used to go in there and get these fruit roll-up things that they only sold there before they started selling them in the supermarket. So there was Spencer's, was right there back in the day. And then this was a not Exhilarama. They used to be an Exhilarama outside, but then this was kind of like a Dave & Buster's thing that they built here with a little like restaurant, cafe, snack bar thing with all the big stuffed toy games and stuff. City Grill, yeah, it was called City Grill was the restaurant. Closed, gone. And we're at the bottom level of Boss Cops here, and then you'll see a picture of what it used to look like. That's what it looked like back in the day when it was Lit Brothers. And there was fountains, and then the arcade was upstairs. Down here was a sporting goods store in the corner there on the left. At the very end, there used to be another record store, stereo equipment store. I can't remember the name. I don't know if it was a wall-to-wall. Might have been a wall-to-wall sound. And that's it. That's our tour.